Guys, welcome to I don't even know how if this is my first, I don't even know. No, second podcast since the world fell off the side of a cliff. And welcome back to my friend Rachel Vindman. Hi Rachel, this is our first face to face since the world fell off the side of a cliff, as I'm putting it so optimistically.
Indeed, it is. I don't even think we've spoken. We have texted, but that's it. But nice to see you. You look really remarkable, all things considered. I
Well,
mean,
thank
you look really good. Okay.
you.
No qualification, but
Thank
I
you.
feel like I have to go to an event Saturday night and I literally booked hair and makeup just because I wasn't sure if I would be able to get it together
Yeah.
myself. So,
Well, you look amazing as always. But I also would like you to know that this is last night's makeup and yesterday's hair. And it was all the energy I had in the world to put on pants, like actual
okay.
pants. So, yeah. And I
I'm wearing
came,
like travel clothes because I'm getting ready to travel. So I have to say, like, I'm not, these are like soft clothes. And
yeah.
I haven't gone back to hard clothes yet, but I'm going to. I pack some.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I love the idea of travel clothes. People don't get that right. Like, you don't understand how important that is. You don't want to look like a slob. You just want to be comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, it's, an ease is very, very important.
Yes, I totally agree. So here we are.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question right off the top. I am
Yep.
still completely unable to watch the news this morning. So my Alexas don't talk. No, no. Uh, they wake me up with NPR, and
Hmm.
every morning it's and President-elect Donald Trump, and I'm like, ah,
No.
it's over. As soon as I get there, I can't go any further. Can you do it?
Hmm. Nope. Can't do it. The only thing my husband like says little things and I'm like, nope, don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Don't want to hear it. I don't care. I have read a couple of stories that are basically like postmortems on the election.
Hmm.
That's about all I can handle.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know anything about the Trump administration. I'll tell you, I have like our local NBC app for like local news and weather.
Hmm.
And it started like giving alerts with like different picks. I mean, okay, Marco Rubio kind of makes sense because he's our senator, but
Yeah.
like, I don't need to know that Stephen Miller is the incoming minister for cruelty or whatever. I don't need to know that. So
Yeah.
it's bothering me because I'm like, please stop doing this, or I'm not going to be able to continue to subscribe. And
Yeah.
and I think it's okay. Yesterday for the Red, White, and Blue pod, the Suburban Women Problem, we interviewed Connie Schultz, who it was the first press she has done since the election. And so it was really nice to have the opportunity to talk to her. But we all kind of said, like, no one is no one is consuming the news, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's okay too. How is she doing?
She's very, sad for her husband. But it's interesting, $40 million was spent against Sherrod Brown by the
Jesus.
crypto bros. And do you know that 97% of owners of crypto are men? I'm just going to leave that right there.
Hmm.
97%. They spent $40 billion against Sherrod. And I did not know this. He was the head of the banking committee for the Senate.
Mm,
So,
mm,
yeah,
mm.
yeah. And, I only know enough to be dangerous. What I do know about crypto is there's this kind of this like, you might not want their money, but you don't want them against you. There was
Yeah.
like this weird sort of, and you can see there's really like no limit on what they can and spend. And I find this really my podcast co-host Amanda, we were like going back and forth. She's an economist, as you know, and it made me laugh because she said the ironic part of this is crypto is supposed to be like uh the currency for people who don't have governments or outside of government. So very strange that someone in an electoral process would spend 40 million in one race to do this. So anyway,
Yeah.
but okay, so sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I think, Joe, just like us, like Connie and Sherrod are going to be fine. but where's our country? You know, a lot of people are going to suffer. They seem to be the people who I believe are actually going to suffer most seem to be the most in denial about how they will suffer.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but I don't
Right. How
I don't
can
know what
you?
to do. I mean,
Yeah.
like I don't know what to say. They
Yeah.
want to believe, you know, there were seven anti-trans ads against Sherrod Brown. Seven. I mean, it's probably not 100 trans individuals in the entire state of Ohio. I don't know, I'm making that up, but I mean, it's definitely not
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
How many of those people who watch those ads even know one?
exactly. And this is the problem. And I mean, you know, I talk about this a lot. I read a book quite a while ago that was about social media, kind of how things, you know, got out of control. But there is a country, and it's in Southeast Asia, and I don't remember which country it is, so I'm not going to try to guess. But they had a real problem because people got phones loaded with Facebook and Facebook Messenger, and that was a deal that was made with Facebook and the carrier, the main carrier in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And the problems it caused because people would see, okay, well, my village is fine, but did you hear about that story of what happened in that village over there? And so they actually, it's the only time Facebook has ever, at one point, they turned off their algorithm for this country because they had situations where strangers were like traveling through a village and they would be lynched and killed because of these stories that were not true, fake stories that travel like wildfire, and people believed it. And there were people being killed, like lynched. I mean, you know, mobs killing people. And that is so much of what we see here on
Yep.
like different levels, right? But it's this over there. So you might even know a trans person, no problem with that trans person. You know, like even if they do, it might not be this scary. But did you hear about the other people and what they want? Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
such a, you know, I was very hopeful. I'm one of the reasons I'm so sad is because I thought that this was a time when we were really changing this paradigm of started by Roger Stone, by the way, that fear motivates people more. And I really thought, apparently naively, that we were moving on past that. And that is definitely not the case. I think, I don't know if you read the book, The Longest Con. Um,
Mm-mm.
George Conway wrote the foreword, and it's a real, I read all these books. So I'm like, it's like my special subgenre of the rise of like the political of the right and the conservative movement and the Christian nationalism and all of this, and like, you
Yeah.
know, different, like all different iterations of this. It is
Mm-hmm.
one of the best books that I've read. And for like someone who's not really up to speed on this, like my husband, he was able to read it like and go from zero. And I would say I definitely am like a more intermediate level on this topic.
Yeah.
But it's really good. But like I learned in that book that Roger Stone was the father of this, like fear motivates people more.
Mm.
And here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, to your point, have been voraciously consuming everything on how democracies slide into authoritarianism and how, we get the rise of Hitler and other despots and dictators, Putin, etc. And I've been reading everything I can get my hands on. And I have been since before the election, just because we saw all the warning signs and all the flashing bells and whistles and lights and laser beams and everything. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. America's smarter than this. Like, we're not going to go there. Because the question I always had in history when we learned about the Holocaust was, how did you get all of those regular Germans to go along with this, right? And I'm like, we're not those people. We're not going to be that. That's not going to happen here. And then, of course, right, they see what we're looking at, and I'm not saying that it's not a foregone conclusion, but it's not looking good. So I in those books and often like into how democracies die and stuff like that. What you're talking about, like that's like sort of like this the party shifting and also like strategizing about how to get as much power as possible and really leaning in on
Mhm.
this fear because the fear shit is definitely what drove people out. They were afraid of people eating their dogs and cats for real. They were afraid of people coming in and
I
murdering.
know.
Yeah. And like we have fear on our side now, unfortunately, because what we're about to embark upon and endure is going to scare the fuck out of a lot of people, and it's going to be ugly and scary and chaotic. And I just don't have a lot of like positive, glowing words for it. But like when you're going to talk about like dismantling the Department of Education and deporting tens of millions of people, there's no way to do that with it being comfortable or nice or pretty or not scary. So people who have
I mean,
special,
there's no way out. There's no way to
yeah,
sugarcoat it. You're
no,
exactly right. There's
mm-mm,
no way to like uh, to put this in any way. I mean,
yeah,
look, you're a mom, I'm a mom. We can talk till we're blue in the face. Sometimes we just have to let them learn the hard way.
mhm,
And I hate that because that actually, I mean, you're talking about, reading books about how we fall into like authoritarianism, how we lose democracy. Like that's it. But also I mean, I'll keep working, you'll keep working, we'll keep doing a lot of things, but people need to see the consequences of what happens when they don't use their voice. And I mean,
mm-hmm,
I don't know why so many people felt it was okay not to vote. It's just, I have no words for that, but it happened.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Now we move forward, and I hate the circular firing squad, by the way. That shit is driving me out of my mind right now. It's like it's
mhm.
just so us though. It's like right now we need to be taking stock of what happened, really understanding as best as we can what happened, what mistakes we made, yes, but like
Mhm.
what happened, and then taking all of that information and regrouping and then gearing up for the fight that is ahead, which is going to be arduous to say the least. But instead, it's everyone is pointing fingers at everyone else, and it's like, knock it the fuck off already, right? Like, stop.
Yeah, I mean, I look, there were warning signs. You and I actually texted about this. There were concerns.
Mm,
And at some point, you just have to be like, well, I guess this is what we're doing. So you just kind of block it out because maybe it can't be helped.
yeah,
But there was stuff, and we can talk about it. I mean, we can talk about it privately, we can talk about it with our friends. Again, it can't be changed.
right,
So there's
right,
not much about it. But
right.
it doesn't really, I think, do any good to air that publicly. It is not so helpful. And then, I mean, I've left Twitter. My husband hasn't. I don't believe you have. Other people, and
Yeah.
but I left Threads before because Threads is like blue MAGA. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't say that in all places. I think this podcast I can like. It is a place where I've been attacked more by the left than the right.
Mm.
And so people on Twitter love to call me a cunt, and I kind of got tired of being called that like 18 times a day. And also I just don't really, I mean, like, do I care? Not really, but am I just gonna sit around and like let you do that? Also, no. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, it's when I say not really, I mean, I don't care what these people who believe those things care about me. Like, I thank you. That's actually a compliment. But I also don't want to sit around and just be your punching bag, I mean,
Yeah.
but now for other people who it's their brand and maybe their, business or something, then I totally get it. But for me, I'm not getting anything out of it. So it just is not worth it.
Yeah.
Blue sky, I'm kind of trying to feel it out. I don't want to be in an echo chamber, is my point. Like, I want an exchange of ideas. I don't think social media is where people go to like change their minds, but it
Mm-mm.
can be where they might go to like find news or find like-minded people, to find a
Mhm.
community. I
Yeah.
do think it's that. But within that community, you can exchange ideas. But arguing with each other, like saying, I told you so, or I know this from, let's be honest, like a bunch of people who have no fucking idea what they're talking about.
Right.
So just to be really, really super clear, these are not like experts. Okay. And that's where I think the problem comes, because a lot of the circular firing squad people is people that don't know.
Right.
And
Right.
I know I don't know. So I'm not going to like go in and talk about like the campaign should have done this or that. And I
Yeah.
actually have a friend who worked pretty closely with the campaign, and that person would like text me and be like asking me questions. And I was like, yeah, you're going to need to ask someone else. I have no idea. I can't tell you if this is normal or not normal or
Right.
what, because I've literally never even stepped foot in a campaign headquarters of any kind. So
Hmm.
you have to phone a different friend, not this friend. I,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, and I did step foot in the DNC for all my trolls who watch these to rage jerk off or whatever the hell they do, and I don't they don't pay me, but I wasn't.
What a great way to spend your time. I mean,
Yeah.
can you
Oh,
imagine?
my new favorite my new favorite thing is they are sending me pennies in Venmo. My Venmo is private, so that's fun. So they'll send me a penny or 0.2 cents or some shit. I don't even know if you can do that, but I got 2 cents yesterday, and it was President Trump is your president for life, bitch. So they're sending me money on
so they
Venmo.
can send you a message. Can you imagine? I mean, I just can't. Like, I know I am a busy mom. I am a busy, like, everything, and I do all this stuff. And
Yeah.
like, but even if I weren't, like, even if it were summer and my daughter were away at camp for 4 weeks, and I would be like, here, Alex, have a frozen dinner. And I didn't like, and we just didn't do anything at all. I still would not spend my time doing that. Like,
Mm-mm.
if I broke my leg and it was in traction and I couldn't do anything at all and there was
Or-
nothing,
No.
I would
Still no.
still not
No.
do that.
No. It's and they
And
call
not
us
because I don't
triggers.
like being a zinger or something at someone, but I mean, like, that is
That's
just, as
next
someone who's
level.
been on the receiving end of this, like, we just laugh. Like, we
Yeah.
don't care. We just
Yeah.
laugh, and
Yeah.
also like, wow, thanks for caring so much
Hmm.
about me. Like, I'm all right.
My favorite is when they 6, 7 times a day they'll tell me how irrelevant I am and how no one
Hmm.
cares what I have to say.
Yeah.
But they're waiting for
Yeah.
my posts so that they can come on to tell me that I'm
Yeah.
irrelevant. It's like
Hmm.
what?
Yeah, I know. I know. It's the I don't, I mean, maybe they to me, I see it more for Alex, and I'm like, okie dokie. But I mean, this is what concerns me about this behavior is it's just, it's like a real world illustration of where we are as a country. And like, I mean, it's really unhealthy behavior by anyone's definition.
Hmm.
And I don't know how we kind of come back from that. Like last year, I believe it was in October, I was driving and I didn't take a picture when I was driving, but there was a car in front of me that had like all these like QAnon stickers. I mean, a ton of stickers. And I did a Substack post about it, and I like looked them all up to see what they meant. And it was like scarier than
Hmm.
I thought. But and then I saw the same car because he doesn't I think he has a child that either not goes to my daughter's school, but like maybe like the preschool or something. And so I saw him on the same road, and like all but like two stickers have been removed. And I suspect, although I don't know definitively, either I think he saw me taking pictures of him the first time. So that was probably kind of a wake up call. And then, but the truth is, like, it was weird. It was really, really weird. And so there is maybe some way to kind of shape this if there's some sort of shaming or something that happens. I mean, not that like that's my job, but societal, like thinking, come on, dude, what are you talking about? Like, what is going on? And I
Yeah.
think collectively, we need to do that. And I don't know if you've seen also on Threads, um, Olivia Julian, what do you say her last name? Olivia
Juliana, I think. Yeah.
Juliana. Okay. And she is like telling people stop talking about conspiracy theories with a vote. I am not wading into this because I haven't even really like read anything about it, to be honest with you. Talk about blocking stuff out. That's one place. But some people have gone really far down that rabbit hole. As someone who is not an expert, I just don't feel like if there is someone who writes a story about it that's a
Mhm.
journalist and is really digging in, that's one thing, but I have not seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm unwilling to like kind of, go down this road. If it's just about people saying like my vote didn't count or
Yeah.
something, then it makes me like a little bit like,
I know.
okay, I mean, it's not that I don't this idea of like we don't want to sound like them, and that's what she said. And I mean, look, I'm of like mind with her.
Yeah.
But this like again, the circular firing squad, like this, like arguing with each other just
Hmm.
seems
Pointless.
when she says like we kind of sound like them, like I get where she's coming from
Yeah.
because I mean, you see the stickers and you see what they mean and you see these things that people believe, and it's totally untethered to
Mhm.
reality. And that's a problem. We cannot have people like that on either side.
No, I totally agree with you. And there's been, like you said, I mean, I'm looking at around at experts like Chris Krebs and, other people who do this stuff for a living, and
Hmm.
they're all to a person saying, I don't see anything. Like I've looked and
Hmm.
looked at this and that. And like I think part of my coping mechanism in the beginning was because you wake up feeling like you're looking around and you don't know where you are, you don't know who you're looking at, and you thought they were one thing. And I really, honest to God, thought when we were voting with the kids and I voted early, and I blame that for why this is all happening because I never ever vote early. And I did, and we didn't get our chocolate, and I'm blaming it on all of that. It's my fault. I know that. Also because I put up this boat picture and it kept falling down and it was trying to tell me something and I wasn't listening, so I didn't work hard enough. But I blame it on all that. But when I was voting with the kids, I was like, because I let my kids vote, because we get three. Because they're 11 and 15, and I make the
Yeah.
rules. But I was in the line and I was like, guys, these don't look like Trump voters. I was like that guy's got his little kid. They were young. They were like tattoos. It was like, no, no, these are Harris voters. I know these are Harris voters. And they were like, this is awesome, Mom. I'm so excited because there was a line and everyone was so pumped up to vote. And I woke up, as everybody else did, going, who the fuck were those people? I'm like, who's at my kid's soccer game? Oh my God, my entire town, like literally four people voted for Harris. Who are these
Mm.
people? Like I'm really, really struggling with that. But like to cope with that, like in the beginning, I was like, yeah, no, 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 no. This is obviously rigged. Starlink and Elon. And then I sent that to someone, a very, very smart person who created one of the most successful TV shows ever, named Lee Aronson, Two and a Half Men, the creator. And I texted it to him and he goes, okay, Joe, but do you have any proof? And I was like, no. He's like, so you're just going down a rabbit hole without any proof and you want other people to go down that rabbit hole with you right now? And I was like, hmm, maybe. And he's like, wake me up when you get some proof or something like
Yeah.
that. And I was like, "Ah, he's right. Like he's right. He's right." And I'm spinning my wheels going, what if, but what if, but okay, fuck what if. We have the result. He's the president right now. And if until somebody else shows me something that's real, we got to focus that it's fraud. We got to
Yeah.
focus on what we know, what's real, right? And that is we lost. I don't think we lost in this landslide like they're saying, even though it could look like that depending on how you look at it. I don't actually think this was a landslide.
I think the electoral college, I think always looks like that in
Yeah,
some way. I also don't think that President Biden won by a landslide either.
right.
And with similar, because, and that's why I was nervous on election night when I started seeing Georgia and North Carolina, because we know that historically swing states generally swing the same way.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was definitely my cause for concern. But I also understand myself like trying to reconcile, but like North Carolina voted for Trump and they voted for Josh Stein
Yeah.
and the Democrat, I mean, arguably running against like maybe the craziest person in the entire I mean like a real nutter.
Yeah.
But then also the lieutenant governor, also the attorney general. And they didn't think the attorney general candidate had a prayer earlier this year. I happened to know that. I heard a call and it was like, there's no way. And just for full disclosure, Josh Stein's son is my husband's assistant slash chief of staff. He's like his everything. But and then Alyssa Slotkin won.
Yep.
And Tammy
Ruben
Baldwin.
Gallego.
Yeah, Ruben Gallego and also Jackie Rosen.
Yep.
All swing states, all voted for Dems.
Yep.
It is not a mandate. And I want everyone to hear that loud and clear. It is not. All these people won in states that voted for Trump for president. So there's a lot of like-minded people out there. Now, someone told me just today, I don't know if that's true, that like in some places they went and they only voted for Trump and they didn't vote down ticket. And but I don't think that happened everywhere.
Mm,
There are a lot of of, um,
but
split ticket,
yeah.
I mean, particularly Ruben, like
Yeah.
I don't know Ruben really well, but I do know him and I know his team. And the sense was like, and I also spent some time in Arizona, and the split ticket thing is real. And I went and I looked at also some of the people that I met or in the groups I talked to, like people that they hoped locally to win, and a lot of them did win. So I mean, this is against, in tight races and well-funded candidates, and also local candidates. I'm not talking about astroturfing, like real local candidates. So, you know, it is not the electoral college certainly is not the whole picture. I think you need to look at, other things and take heart in that yes, a lot of bad things are going to happen. I mean, that's just how it is. But I think there are more checks than we might think. And the midterms are only 2 years away, which seems like a really long time. I mean, as
Start,
someone who's,
yeah, you can start.
essentially terrified of what's going
Yeah.
to happen to my family, but
Mm.
I think we have a really good chance. Probably only 2 seats available in the Senate that we could win back. But in the House, I think without a doubt we will be able to win there. And so I think people need to like not go down the road of like the doom and gloom and all this because it's definitely very possible. And we know House seats don't cost as much money as Senate seats. So I mean, I don't know. What do you think about this idea when we tell people like the crypto bros spent $40 million against Sherrod Brown? Because like I'm like, I don't want people to know that because I don't want them to think that it's like all rigged.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think is the answer there?
I think that a very specific segment of the population is going to high five over that, and the rest of the population, largely women, like you said, because like I don't know any woman, not one single woman personally that talks to me about crypto. I mean, I don't know if they're partaking in it or not. I sort of mini dated a
Well,
guy.
the
Yeah,
only
what?
3% are
Right,
buying it, so or
right.
own it. So
Yeah, and I did sort of hang out with a guy who was very into it, and what I've realized is that now in retrospect that he's fucking out of his mind. So, yeah, I have an excellent track record with men, but and he was a big Bitcoin guy. He was like constantly talking about it. But honestly, I think women aren't going to be like, oh, that's hot, like that's democracy. No, I think what we have to look at, right, is like where are we as the American people? Because I think a lot of those people who went and voted were like, I don't know, I don't like anything. I'm just going to go with something new. I don't know. There's all this shit about Trump, but I'm just going to pick because I want something different, or I don't know. Maybe I just want to be, a radical renegade. I have no idea, but like, I don't think that even all those people that voted for him are really like team, yeah, let's deport every kid who's was born here because their parents came here illegally. Like, I just don't think most of the American people are actually there and have a palate for that. So, knowing how many people are on our side and voted, either didn't vote, which is another thing, or voted for Harris. There's tens of millions of people out there who would be like, no, this is not good. No, I don't want that. And then a whole bunch of the ones that voted for Trump are like, oh no, I didn't know that was part of this. You mean my autistic kid can't get special services in school anymore? I didn't know that. Why didn't you tell me that? It doesn't
yeah,
matter that we did. It matters that they feel it, sadly. And you're right. I think that is actually our biggest check. It is that there's still this huge contingent of we the people out there that will be sounding the alarm in real time, and people will be feeling it. Like, so as much as that sucks and there's going to be all of this, suppression of facts and the truth and everything, we still have that power until they start rounding us up, which is I'm painting pictures, but still, like,
yeah.
it's not going to happen before the midterms. It's just not. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do to mess with democracy and function, because God knows the guardrails are gone, right? But
Hmm.
I just don't see the American people going, oh, no midterms? Okay, fine. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, we're not going to slide that dramatically, that quickly. It's not like a militarized
No,
coup
I
in
mean,
a week.
I gotta know who's in charge. I don't know like what's going on with that, but I mean, who, because it's going to be a lot of jockeying and stuff. I don't know, but I do think they will be very careful before the midterms because, at least not to do like a lot of the most extreme stuff. That being said, the deportations will happen, and you see, we've all seen the stories because they've been pretty frequent about the people who support Trump and didn't think that they would be deported, or they don't think that family-oriented Latinos will be deported. I
Mm.
mean, they're in for a rude awakening, and I'm not going to say I don't care because I care. I mean, I just it's not in my nature to not care. But again, it goes back to I think you're going to have to see some of this in order to believe us about
Yeah.
the dangers here. And too many people are just, we're hearing what they wanted to hear from, let's be honest, a con man. He's always been a con man. And
Mm.
that's how con men work. I don't, we saw the first time how we got back into this mess. I don't know, but we
Hmm.
had the opportunity to not, and it's very frustrating to all of us, but we just, we have to keep working. I mean,
Yeah. That's it. It's work. It's work. It's daily work. It's not, And people tell me to lean off of using words like fight and resist, and I don't agree with
Oh
that
my
because
God, I hate that so much.
that they tell us what we can and cannot say.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
stop it. Yes. Don't do that. Don't like tell me what words I can use, by the way. If I
Also,
feel
I'm just
empowered by
tired of the
fight.
message testing. I
Yeah.
don't message test everything. I'm going to be authentic with you, and either
Yes.
you like it or you don't. But this is who I am.
Yep.
And people like authenticity. If you're like metering your words because
Hmm.
you're like, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to say that, like some sort
Hmm.
of secret fucking code game where you can't like don't say that word, that triggers like whatever. Like, but when you when you're searching because you can't say this or can't say that, that is not authentic. So if I use words that you don't like, either get over it or stop listening to me or whatever. But I
Yeah.
think you have to see what is authentic. And I also find it like really silly because I have one of those like expensive cashmere sweaters that's like, with that they embroider with the sayings. And they do have a good sale. I don't know if it's a Black Friday sale or whatever, but I remember getting it. It says fight like a mother. So this
Hmm.
is like about as like progressive and like, bougie, like New York City progressive as you can get. And it literally uses the word fight. So don't tell me I can't use that word
Yeah.
because I can and many other people do. So let's stop.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think in those terms, and I've had both women and men check me on using it. And you know what? I don't care. Let's, again,
No, I don't
I'm
care.
gonna say what I'm gonna say because it's coming out of how I feel. And that word right now, that's been a word for me my whole life that I have leaned on more and more and more because it's those fights that I waged, that I survived, that I triumphed, that I've come into this place in my life where I'm like, I use that word because that is an empowerment word. And I will not let go of it. But it is work. This is work. Democracy is work. We got here in large measure, not in a minute, not in a second, because of decades of stuff. But we now have to work to get somewhere better. And that is,
Mhm.
and also to educate and have better civilians, better participants, and that's systemic. I sound like a broken record with this. I'm like, I know, like 5 cents of on each student in a year versus five, whatever it is, five
Well, I
dollars.
mean, I
Yeah,
know that it feels like but if the schools aren't doing it, it's up to us to
true.
educate our children and
Yeah,
raise an
raise good
informed
citizens.
electorate.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, what my daughter said to me a couple weeks ago. We were driving in the car and she said, "Mama," she's 13, "what does it mean if someone slept their way to the top?" And I knew where she was going with it, and I had to take a beat and I explained it to her and I said, I mean, she got it immediately.
Hmm.
And like she got it even deeper than I thought she could or would. That's what we're fighting against also.
Hmm.
And I said, if more people, I mean, if that was really true, then I guess there'd be more women at the top because people would just use that as a shortcut. And
Good point.
but it is just a really, I mean, this is so much of we're fighting a number of things.
Hmm.
When it comes to like, look, I grew up in Oklahoma. My brother and sister-in-law still live there. They're both teachers. Like a public charter school that's mostly virtual though. They're evangelicals. They're never going to watch this. I mean, I love them dearly. They did not vote for Trump,
Mm.
but I know probably many in their circle did, or that's not true. They said they had no Trump supporters, but did they vote for Kamala Harris? Also, probably not likely.
Mhm.
But what I always tell them about Oklahoma, because we talk about, I mean, Oklahoma's always been like bottom, like 3, 5 of like education in the country. And, in terms of test scores, not just spending, but test scores.
Yeah.
And when I say this to them, they're like, oh yeah, we know that's why they actually homeschool their own children. They kind of as part of the school, but mostly their own curriculum. Okay. But and their children are all very bright, and my oldest niece is in college, so I guess like they're doing something right. She's very successful. But all that aside, when I say, yeah, but an uneducated population means that no one wants to come to Oklahoma to invest and bring business there. And when your children graduate and they're trying to find jobs and they can't find good jobs, they're going to have to look outside Oklahoma because the only people there are people that are using natural resources, which is oil and gas mainly. Those are the natural resources. There's some land, but no one's going to get rich farming, even like the people that own thousands of acres and corporate farms. It still does
Right.
not like a giant moneymaker.
Mm.
But that's where the rubber meets the road. And a lot of people are unhappy about this. They don't even understand. They haven't put two and two together on that connection. There aren't jobs. And in rural Oklahoma, it's even worse. They live in a suburb of Oklahoma City, so like maybe a chance. But when you get outside there aren't jobs for people to have. And why? Because no one wants to come and bring a business. And I don't care if it's a blue collar manufacturing job or like a white shoe law firm. They're not going to come to a place without an educated population. And these things are very measurable. So they're not coming to Oklahoma. And I mean, I don't blame them. And this is like we need to do a better job of like connecting the dots in all of this. You know, Sherrod Brown was a great senator for he served what 12 years you know, Ohio, but they thought that he just became all about trans. Like they believed it so easily, you know, that they voted against him so easily. A man that they knew, a man that fought for Ohio workers, like fought for them and caused some problems for himself in the process in the Senate and otherwise. But he fought up for what was, I mean, he stood up for what was right. And people respect that, even if they don't agree with the decision he made for whatever reason. But they've lost that to a used car salesman, I might add. And who is also an immigrant, a naturalized citizen. I wonder if he will be rounded up or if he is okay because he's naturalized. Bernie Marino. I mean, I have a lot of questions about how these things are going to work out. Let's ask the Minister of Cruelty, Eva Miller. I'm sure he has all the answers.
Nosferatu. And then they'll put Marjorie Taylor Greene. She'll be like Secretary of Pull-ups and crackhead conspiracy.
You know, I guess that they would get. It is kind of funny. I saw someone on Blue Sky make a comment of like, it seems weird. The Republicans, they don't even know like the final numbers. And they're talking about, you know, people getting appointments for different things. I mean, at least Stefanik is in a very easy, like red place, but the governor of New York is a Republican. I mean, sorry, is a Democrat, and she decides when the special election is held. And until the special election is held, if Elise is in New York City, and if she does go to New York City, Elise, I really urge you to find, and I know it's going to be hard, a like-minded gay person who can help you, a gay man who can help you with your fashion sense. I mean, there's maybe another one in the, but she, but you know, her seat will be empty until Governor Hochul like decides to hold that election, and that is a lever. So you know, it's very weird to me. They're acting like they're acting like they have a mandate. They're acting like everything is easy, and it's not. It is absolutely not. And we have levers too. I hope that we will use them. We need to be a gloves off situation. I think we all agree.
Big time. 100%. Yeah. We have to be them over the last several years.
But I mean, it's not just being them. I mean, you and I think fundamentally we agree about Joe Biden, but we might not agree on some of the small points. Like I think we need a little bit more than him at the moment, I guess. Is, you know, like he's very worried about his legacy, which I understand, but I think he's been a little bit slow to understand like just how evil, which to his credit, because I think like totally evil the other side is. And there is no reason to fight that with evil. Absolutely not. You cannot fight darkness with darkness. That's not true. But I think shining a light on it, and he's just a nice person who has been
trying to do
a little too unwilling, I think, to do that. So it would be, I mean, I hope that we can see there needs to be in the remaining days of his administration, even if it's something they have to undo, fucking make it undo it. Like take something that would be popular, that would be like good for everyone. Okay, you want to kill it, kill it. go ahead. But
Yeah, now
like,
you got to do it.
let's take the gloves off and make it happen. And these are, there are different ways. And I think it would also be good for our morale if things like this
Always.
happen. If at least Stefanik is chosen and we just play a little bit of hardball on some of these things of like to say, okay, yeah, we still have some fight in us and we're
Mhm.
not going to let you just walk over us. And you can threaten all you want and you can be a bully, but we're still a democracy for the time being, and we're
Yeah.
not going to let you,
Yeah.
we're not just going to give up without a fight.
Nope.
What's the
As much.
saying? Like, don't obey in
Yeah,
advance.
that's it. I was just gonna
Mm,
say that because I'm obsessed with Timothy Snyder, and he talks about that. I love Timothy
mhm.
Snyder. I'm chasing you around. I know we probably had five different people tell you that I'm trying to get in touch with you, and I've DM'd you. But I need to get in touch with you. Actually, I don't think I DM'd you. I put it in a tweet because you don't follow me. But yes, don't obey in advance. And we're not gonna let you go because you've got to get packing. But that's what those governors are doing in those blue cities and states, and mayors and governors are doing.
Mhm.
The Tim Walls, like you're going to come into my city or my state and you're going to tell me you're going to round up my people. I'm going to stop you. You know what I mean? And like,
Mhm.
do not obey in advance. Like we got to
I mean, if you say you're going to could declare a national emergency,
hmm
uh, use the Insurrection Act
hmm
or suspend posse comitatus, and you're going to use the active duty military against U.S. citizens on U.S. soil,
Yeah.
go ahead. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to see this happen either, but people need to understand
hmm
exactly how it's going to be if we don't fight back. And I applaud all the governors who said, you're not going to do that here
hmm
because it's not legal. And
Right.
I think saying in advance is actually very powerful.
Agreed. Agreed. You've already signaled to your own people, but signaled to them as well. Like, oh, you want
Mhm.
this is on you. You put the responsibility. I know that we're not living in much of an era of responsibility and accountability, but put it on them. Make them
Yeah.
own it. Yeah. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for coming and chatting. It's really cathartic to talk to you. It's also like you're not hyperbolic, hair on fire, losing your mind and moving to Canada right now. It's sane, calm. Keep calm, Allah. What was that thing? We're gonna keep calm,
Keep
Allah.
Kamala and carry on,
Carry on,
Allah.
Allah.
Uh,
Yeah. We'll
but
do
I
that.
think she taught us, if anything, I mean, I didn't know much about her and I really fell in love with her.
Yeah. And Doug too.
And in the, yes, I know. And in the circular firing squad, that's gotten lost. We all liked her, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't like the way it turned out, and maybe we should have done things differently. And we didn't have a lot of time. It's like when people second guess the pandemic. God, we didn't have any good choices. We only had choices. Like,
hmm
stop it. We're
Yeah.
literally like, I mean,
We
like
didn't have
when
a.
things
There's no
happened, like
map
there
for
was
that.
not, yeah, and there weren't choices. There weren't like a lot of options, but I think we did fall in love with them. And she taught me not only to fight, but to fight with joy and
Yeah.
to that, she promised everyone, well, except for Trump, promises that they will be a president to all Americans. But she really detailed how she would do that. And I think that's a blueprint for all of us. Like, you might not agree with me, but always listen to you. I
Yep.
will
Yep.
always listen to you and I
hmm
will bring you to the table to listen. And that is, we're so angry at our neighbors and the people in our community who voted for Trump, and we know they did. But if we're going to get beyond this, we have to see what their grievances are. And, maybe a lot of it isn't tethered in reality, but we cannot be the people that they expect us to be and want us to be all the time. And, we have to, and they can blame us for a lot of different things, but they're not, let's not give them like that. I mean, I
Mm.
think that like the hatred and everything that we see. I mean, we can not like them, we can make fun of them. Like, there's a lot of things to do, but like the abject hatred and like the sending messages and sending you two pennies so that they can yell at you,
I
like,
know.
no, that's not who we are. And I think that that's a really important distinction, is to fight with joy and to keep on. And you and I both do work with Red, White, and Blue. I think the great part about Red, White, and Blue and other like grassroots organizations and organizations that help women, organize grassroots on a grassroots level. The key to this is you don't always get what you want the first time, but you keep fighting and you keep
Yeah.
going back. And we've developed, such an infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away. We're going to still, we're still here. The sun still came up the next day. And
hmm
so we're going to keep fighting. And we are as many people have pointed out, we're in a much better place than we were the day after the election day in 2016.
Yeah.
So don't discount it, and don't discount your voice. And there
Mm.
are fits and starts, ups and backs, and it's not linear, the progress. And that's okay, because nothing in life ever is. I mean,
No.
how many times have I lost the same 20 pounds? But
Yeah, especially
it's
with these
not,
big swings, when something
yeah.
swings one way, it tends to blow back, in the other
Yeah,
direction every
yeah. I
time.
mean, this is right. And so, like, it's not all is lost. Find your community, find your people. If that's online, that's fine. Just find something. Find people who are like-minded,
Mhm.
figure out how you're going to get back in the fight, what you're going to do, and commit to doing it.
Yeah.
And it's going to suck, but at times, it's not all the time, but at times it's going to be bad, but we have to just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Moving forward, leaning into community, leaning into those human connections that we have, because the antidote to all of that is that humanity and that connection. So like lean into people you love, lean into, family, friends, and find that, because that connection, because what I think will be ahead, as I said to Stephanie Miller, is like endless black with like sort of a tightrope over a pit of poisonous snakes that we're going to have to traverse. It's kind of like grim reality, but like, painting pictures, here I am. But I'd rather be walking over that tightrope with all my friends holding my hands than doing it alone. So hold those
Mhm.
hands, and we're not letting go. Like
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
get twistery out there, but just hold hands, and together we will get through this. That's exactly how we do it. We
And
go
we're not
through.
going to riot. That's just
Oh
think
no.
about the difference in this and
I mean,
January 6th.
yeah.
Picture, like, I want everyone to picture that. Picture the conversations that we're having, the conversations you're hearing against January 6th. That was their reaction to losing. That's not who we are.
No, I'll put
And
that
and
hammer back.
so
So I don't need
yeah.
that. Sorry, I'm good. No, the riot gear. No, bear spray. Definitely not. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
That's so funny. Um, so yeah, again, I do have to go. I do have to finish packing, but I'll leave you with this. My niece, she's almost 8. I'm going to see her tomorrow. And last week on it, she had a paper for school, and it had, like a space for date. So, like 11 dash 5, whatever, dash 24. And she wrote, bruh dash who dash cares. And that is pretty much where I am. So I also don't care. I'm not quite there yet to caring what the date is or what's going on, but we'll all be back in the fight eventually. We'll
Yeah.
all get back to there. But
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
meantime,
Keep
remember
fighting.
what's important and what you're fighting for, and that'll really help make it worth it, because we're all tired, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Again, I'd rather spend every last scintilla of energy I have left in this on this coil of ours doing something, good, doing something
Mhm.
hopeful,
Yeah,
doing something
it's
helpful
gonna
to
make a difference. Yeah.
make a difference, than anything else. So, thank you, Rachel.
I
Have
love you, Joe. Thanks for
love you
having me.
too. And just thanks for,
Feel like
yeah.
this was like a little bit random and rambling, but maybe in a few months I'll be able to be more articulate, or
No, it's
maybe I'll be in jail, as the mangas keep promising. It could go either way. I'll let
yeah.
you know.
Oh, maybe we could do this from Gitmo next time.
Okay.
So I've
Yeah.
been told
Yeah.
that
I hear
that's
they
where I'm
don't have
headed.
electricity though.
Oh,
So
so well, but that's not gonna work because I
maybe
can't
Elon will
straighten
let
my
us use
hair.
Starlink. Okay.
Will Starlink help me straighten my hair? I can't go to Gitmo. Oh my God. All right. Thanks, Rachel.
All
Thanks,
right. Love
everybody.
you.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye.